Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live stream. Welcome to Spooktober. So, today, aside from a few spooky stories from Clive, we have got 3 stories from other YouTubers. One is an RV tale by Jouppi Outdoors. I had to print it out so I get it right. Another from NixPix, thank you, Nikki, and another one from Live Life with a View. So looking forward to recounting those tales. But first, do you want to start us off?
Shall I start off with a ghost story?
With the ghost story?
Okay. This one's not a place to camp or anything, but it was my very first that I'm aware of paranormal experience. I think I might have mentioned this a long time ago on something, but I was driving back home. This is in England. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning, no traffic around. And I was driving along this road, and then, it's a good straight road, clear view ahead with the lights on, and suddenly, out of nowhere, cyclist right in front of me.
Ooh.
Went to slam on the brakes, and suddenly cyclist gone, vanished completely. Now at this point, my heart was racing, my adrenaline was running, not because I thought there was a ghost there and I just had a paranormal experience. It's because my very first instinct was, have I just hit a cyclist? Have I just killed someone? Was I just about to kill someone? And then very, very quickly I realized, no, there was no crash, no clatter. I hadn't hit anything. And then I sort of calmed down. And then I was trying to, in my mind, think, what on earth was that? Now, there was a village about 2 miles in the distance, sort of slightly off to the left. And you could just about have the lights of the village, so slight light onto the windscreen. And I thought, okay, there's a bit of condensation on the windscreen. It's 2 a.m. It's a bit cooler. Maybe some sort of trick of the light. And it just happened to come with the shape of a cyclist. That was me trying to justify it in my head, make it logical in my head. But no, I knew in my brain there was a cyclist there. Now, I mentioned this over the next several years, occasionally to friends, family. And then the very next morning, I mentioned it to my parents. And then it sort of just, it was always in my mind. But then it must have been about 10 years after that incident. The incident happened, it must have been about 1996, so about 2006-ish. Article in the local paper about people who had seen a phantom cyclist, and it was at that spot that I'd seen mine. And apparently a vicar of a local church had been hit and killed on his bike in that area. I think he did say the date, but I can't remember the date at all.
Even now, that road is dark and windy. You can't, unless someone's wearing a totally glow in the dark, high visibility vest and lights, it's impossible.
Well, that was a straight bit. That was a straight bit of road. But yeah, it was. I mean, some people in this article had said they'd seen. They could describe it: a male, long coat, scarf, and they'd seen it for quite a few seconds. I couldn't tell you whether it was male or female, what it was wearing, because it was literally probably maybe not even a second that this cyclist was in front of me. But yeah, when I saw that article in the paper, I thought, okay, no,
it makes
definitely
sense.
happened.
It makes sense.
So that's my very first paranormal experience.
Well, we have NixPix here. Welcome and thank you, the Jag family, Small Adventures, Camping with Clammy, Jouppi Outdoors. And thank you so much for coming to watch us. Jouppi, we have got your story. We are going to be reading very, very soon. If you want to have a little moment to recount your nerves, because retelling that story was so eerie.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's warmed you all up for a bit of spooky October, really.
Our Spooktober. Spooktacular.
But no, I can tell you, my adrenaline was rushing as soon as that happened, because I thought I'd actually nearly killed someone.
I think when you have real life spook stories, they're not like on TV. You don't have a beautiful story arc. Everything doesn't make sense. It's just kind of like that in the moment. What did I just see? Or it's just something that goes on for a very long time and is very, very creepy, that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
I mean, there's other things you can if you tell someone you're in a haunted place, then suddenly any noise, feeling, anything, your mindset's there. I mean, there's a place in England called Borley Rectory. Look it up. It was one of the most haunted places in the UK.
It still is, isn't it?
Well, the actual building got burnt down in a mysterious fire.
But the place itself,
The place
people
itself,
are still...
People go there, they still see apparitions on the site of this rectory. And I once drove past and just suddenly this really weird, eerie feeling. Now, I knew I was driving past Borley Rectory. I knew of its history. And so probably in my mind, but it had there's an atmosphere about it, but it may well have been in my mind. I didn't experience anything
you
there.
Just felt something.
It was just, yeah.
All right. So, you know what? If anyone has a story that they would like to recount, we are doing spooky stories for the rest of October during our live streams. If you have an RV story or a camping tale, send it in. We have our website, which you'll find in the description. There's a contact form on the website. You can send in your story, and we will do our best to read it out to the rest of the world.
This is for the October.
This is for Spooktober. Hello, Van Vita Travels. Good to see you. Hope everything is good where you are. So, shall we get on with Jouppi Adventures?
Okay, go for it.
Okay, this one's not the spooky one. We're warming up for more spooky stories a little later. This one is an RV story. So David from Jouppi Adventures reached out and he said, "Hi there. Thank you for taking an interest in our story. Our full-time RV journey started as a passing comment beside the fire on one of our many weekend camping trips. We owned a 29-foot travel trailer and took camping trips all around our home state of Florida, at least every other weekend. We would spend our time around the fire talking about where we wanted to go next, then about where we would go if we had unlimited amount of time to travel. At that point, I, David, said, we should sell the house and go full time." We had a house, a lot of stuff, and a great job. I'd been at for at least 14 years. After more serious discussion, we agreed downsizing, selling the house, and seeing all the places we wanted to see was what we both wanted. Erica was already homeschooling our 10-year-old special needs son, so there's not a big adjustment in that area. We sold our house, travel trailer, nearly all of our stuff, and bought a fifth wheel in April 2019. We stayed local for 11 months while paying off the debt, and in March 2020, we officially hit the road. It had been an amazing journey, and our son loves seeing all the new places. This life, even with the struggles that comes with it, sometimes is literally a dream that we continue to work hard for and make come true. Thank you for reading, and thank you so much for your time. Cool. Thank you, David, for your story. That is absolutely gorgeous. I think there's quite a few similar tales that people are just like, you know what, let's forget the house. Let's just forget the normal 9 to 5. Let's get in and see what we can.
Homeschooling as well gives you so much more freedom.
So much more freedom. Yeah.
So that's pretty
okay.
cool,
so your son is just 1 year older than Thorn. Yay. That's awesome. So Thorn's loving her homeschooling, actually. We are no longer doing the public school homeschool version where she was just on the computer screen all day
staring at a computer for like 6 hours.
Yeah, she was really suffering with that. So we are actually using the same books and the same like methods, I suppose, because we used to be teachers as well. We're teacher trained. So we're kind of cheating, I guess. But yeah, we're doing it from books rather than from the screen. And we can take them with us and travel without having to be accountable, without having to like sit in front of a computer screen.
Yeah, we don't have to stick to the traditional school holiday times.
No, not at all.
We can go out whenever we want.
Yeah. So joining us.
Yeah, yes, it's amazing. That's what Jouppi says.
Oh, BC Treasure Trails. Nice to see you. Welcome. So if you have not yet done so, please go and visit Jouppi Outdoors. I'm going to actually see if I can add your link here. So can you still see me? Because I've just opened up another channel. I don't know if I can get away with doing this on the live stream, but let me see if I can find your channel. Jouppi Outdoors. There you are. Okay, hold on. Going to get that here. Command copy. And I'm hoping you're still seeing me. Command V, I think, is the paste. Okay. my first time trying to do this.
There we go.
Okay, so if you can see that
Yes, you can still
link,
see us. Excellent.
oh, thank you. Follow that channel. They are amazing. Their content is really good, and they're just so much more professional than we are. So if you thank you for coming to see us, but if you want something that's even better, go to Jouppi Outdoors and see it done really right.
Right.
Do we want to have another Clive
Do we
story, or
yes.
do we want to do Nikki's story of a haunted playhouse?
Well, I've already had a go, so let's have Nikki's story, I think.
Okay, let's do Nikki's story.
Yeah.
So everyone who has contributed stories, thank you so much. But also their links are in the description below. Do go ahead and check them out. They are very cool. Okay, sorry. So I've got this story on my phone, so I'm going to be looking down while I read. Nikki writes, my daughter is a theater brat from very beginning, so when she was only 4, she was over top to go and see a musical. Being held at Lake Worth Playhouse, where my mother was volunteering with costumes. That is a really cool job. Lake Worth Playhouse is considered a top haunted place in USA and is a very old building which was once a cat house in its day. And I don't think she means like the feline types. Am I right? Many people have lost those lives there. My mother had told me how the spirits there loved the kids, as the musical we were seeing was a kids' performance. Well, next page. So we were excited when she shied next to a digital photo she had taken away from. Well, hold on, I lost my train of thought. So we're excited when she showed next a digital photo she had taken of my daughter. Sorry, I didn't have time to like type this out nicely. Back when the theaters, at the back of the theater seats, and she was surrounded by light orbs. If anyone doesn't know, if you're into spooky things, light orbs are meant to represent like spirits or ghosts, according to a lot of the TV that we watch. Later, after the show, we went for a tour of the upstairs. I should note here that because her younger brother had severe autism, she learned early on that she was not allowed to wander because she fully understood what this meant. Therefore, she never wandered. As I was listening to my mother explain that the area the kids were using for dressing rooms, next page, was where the ladies waited for the men, as you would in polite times. I looked around and wondered if my daughter was listening, and she was nowhere to be found. So as I ran down the hallways, running into these small rooms, looking for her, I made it to the end of a hallway, and it turned right, and a staircase at this hallway runs straight to a door that goes into the street. As I caught my daughter's hand on the doorknob as the doorknob opened, and of course I said, "What are you doing?" She looked up at me and said, "They wanted to play." Very creepy. There is something so eerie and creepy about playhouses. And there was a really fun eating place in Colchester called Weatherspoon's The Playhouse, and it used to be the old playhouse of Colchester Town, the old theater, and they kept all the theater seats, and you would pretty much eat your dinner on stage. And they had all these like dummies and people dressed up in the old theater costumes, like these dummies sitting in the audience watching you. And I think the staff would move them every so often just so you would like be looking up and thinking, did that just move? Or
I remember there was Lieutenant Worf was up there, and he moved around a few times.
Yeah, that was good. That was very, very good. All right, so we've had a story from NixPix. We've had a story from David. You want to do another spooky one?
Another spooky one.
Or do you want to do well, this is Spooktober.
It's Spooktober. Yeah.
We could also do a trick-or-treating tale.
Like what?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. You've thrown me there. Trick or treat tale. Okay. I mean, in terms of most of my other experiences, whether they were real or not, I don't know. But on the Queen Mary in Long Beach, you know, worked on the Queen Mary. A lot of you have probably heard of the Queen Mary. Another extremely haunted site, allegedly. And yeah, there have been a few things that have happened there. I've had people with me who have taken pictures and something has been there. You hear bangs and creaks and things, but of course a ship floating on water makes noises.
Makes a lot of noises.
And a lot of people think it must be a ghost because they're in a haunted place, and of course you hear a noise, it's got to be a ghost. It's another explanation, obviously. But no, there are things which have happened.
Someone said she saw a few things, didn't she?
Yeah, we did stay over, didn't we? And she said she felt something brush against her. And that was the same time that you said you thought you saw a shadow just zip across the room.
Yeah, but mind you, I see shadows all the time.
You still got goosebumps, NixPix.
Oh yeah, man, I would too. And it's like it's. I mean, you hear these spooky stories and they can give you goosebumps, but when they involve your kids, that's just when they. Oh yeah, that can just be really creepy.
Yeah. There's one I mentioned. I didn't actually see anything, but when I worked on the Queen Mary, I'd check out places just to, you know, before I'd take people down there, and going through the boiler rooms, turn the lights off, because you're meant to do that when you're doing spooky stuff. And I'd done this hundreds of times, literally. And on this one occasion, I was walking through what was the water softening plant, small area, and as soon as I got into that room, this weird feeling came over me. Didn't see anything. There's nothing to support this. And I just stopped and looked around, and I was, is someone there? Absolutely no response. The second I left the room, that feeling had gone.
Oh, that reminds me. There was a. You finish yours.
Yeah, and then I was going to say, I took someone down there later, and they went in there and they said, "There's something weird about this room." And that was without me saying anything. They said, "There's something," and I said, "Funny you should say that, because I had this weird thing." And as I said, I've done it hundreds of times, walked through there, not a problem, but just that one time, very strange thing.
There was a spot, one of the many spots at Colchester Castle where we both used to work, and I mentioned one of my spookiest times at that castle at the last live stream. So if you missed that, you can catch it up, because that story's even scarier than this one. But there was definitely another corner, you know, the muniment room.
Yes.
And again, you know, as employees, it's dead dark when you go in. You have a little flashlight and you got to walk a certain way, and you have little fish keys to turn the lights on, because that way the public can't just randomly turn lights on and off when they go through. But there was one corner, and you would have to open this huge oak door, English oak, and you like push it with two hands and slide it open, and you'd walk into that corner, and you just felt like someone was suffocating you. It's just like the eeriest feeling, and it wasn't just a lack of fresh air. There was like something really oppressive in that corner.
It always felt quite dank.
It always also felt really, I mean, that could also be, you know, castle plumbing issues. But yeah, and then when you have to walk around a certain exhibit, turning the lights on, and you have two blind corners, and then that door, invariably, the one that you have to push open really hard and then prop, would just, you hear this boom, and then your heart would start racing, and then you like get the rest of the fish keys, and then you would race around the other side of the castle and go back to the break room, and then try to act really natural, like you were fine and nothing just creeped you out at all, except that everyone had that same look when they had to do that point. There we go. Shall we move on?
We could move on, yes.
Okay, so Live Life with a View sent us a story as well, and we have that right
ghosty
here.
Story. Live Life with a View. Okay, I haven't heard this one.
So okay. So I don't know which story is the creepiest, and I think we have the most moving story is definitely Jouppi's Adventures, because that's a really beautiful tale. Or Jouppi Outdoors, sorry. But when it comes to the spooky stories, let us know what you think is the eeriest. If that happened to you, which one would keep you up at night? And between all the stories, our stories, and also the ones sent in, I really cannot decide which is spookier, Live Life with a View or NixPix. But okay, here we go. So
Technology says to be out there so fast.
Live Life with a View said, when I was a child, my mother, before I was adopted, would send me up to New York City to spend the summer with her childhood friend. He was like an uncle. On my last trip there before I was adopted, Nija purchased a teddy bear for me. I still had that bear when I was adopted, 7 years of age. It was my confidant. When thunderstorms were raging, it reminded me of the years with my biological mother also. On one occasion, I woke up to voices in the house, and it was the dead of night. Thinking it might have been my adopted mother and father up talking, I listened. The thing was, it wasn't either of their voices. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but I could definitely tell that there were multiple voices. It scared me knowing that there was no one else in the house. I turned on my bedroom light and the voices stopped, so I thought it might have been my imagination. I kept the lights on for a little while longer, and then I turned them off and fell back to sleep. Fast forward 16 years later. A 16-year-old Live Life with a View Davian is back with his biological mother. One morning, his mother confronts him and yells, "I need you to be up front with me. Tell me the truth, okay?" He says, I was slightly perplexed, wondering to my find my room. LOL. I'm wondering what she thought. Anyway, okay.
We'll not go down that route.
We'll not go down the 16-year-old guy. Okay, anyway. Sorry.
Come on, scary story.
Scary stories. It's a nice magazine there. Sorry. Mom, I swear I was looking at the articles. Okay, moving on. She then asks, have you ever heard voices around you at any point in your life? Voices with no one there. I was confused, he said. And finally, I thought about my childhood experience. I told her yes when I was a child. She says, why? He said, why? Then she told me, baby, I was woke up to voices coming from your bedroom last night. I was confused because I saw no lights in your room and neither voice I heard was yours. I grabbed my gun and came down the hallway, hearing them a little louder and clearer as I got. When I came to your bedroom door, the voices stopped. I turned the light on and you were knocked out asleep. There was no one there. No other person or persons that could have been talking were present. It scared me so bad. I had to ask you because something is in here with you. Live Life with a View says, I told my current girlfriend at the time about it, and she immediately began to brainstorm what could have followed me. She asked me, did I have anything that I brought with me from childhood to current? I didn't think there was anything until my teddy bear came to mind. She said that if it is the only link then between then and now, that bear has to be the culprit. I know. I called my mother and told her what we thought, and I said I wanted to get rid of it when I got home. So when I got home, I looked for my bear and couldn't find it. This is the bit that starts to give me creeps.
Okay.
I asked my mother about it, and she said that she took a knife to it, cut it up, and then threw it into the dumpster. Now that is what mothers have to do. I love it. That bear had to go. That bear had to go.
It wasn't bear. It might have been something else. But go on.
He says, I've never heard the voices around me since then, so I do believe in the supernatural because of my personal experience. Till this day, I still do not know what created the voices or what they were saying. I do know that they were attached to me through that teddy bear, though.
Well, they do say things can attach. They attach to an object, don't they? So.
Yeah. Now that reminds me. Oh, Saltwater Born is here. Hello, and hello, Colorado Martini. Good to see you. Yay.
Now, should I tell you about the most freaked out I've been? Because I mean, since I've been on the Queen Mary, I had a few experiences, and I can't honestly say I've not been scared or anything like that. I find it more interesting than anything. But the most freaked out I've been, it was when I was still living with my parents, and it was the middle of the night. I was in my bed, and I got woken up, and it was a dark room, lights off, and from the corner of the room, I heard someone whisper my name.
Clive.
Yeah, Clive, just like that. Is Clive.
And it wasn't me.
And I was like, yes. At first, my immediate reaction, did I hear that right? And then it happened again a few seconds later, Clive. So my second reaction, my little brother, is probably outside the door playing a joke. I listened carefully outside. No, it's definitely coming from the corner of the room. Clive. And it kept going. And eventually I just sat up and said, what do you want? And I said it loud. I'm surprised I didn't wake everyone up. And then it did it again, Clive. And by this time, I am getting freaked out. It's whispering to me, but it's not replying. It's not answering my questions. I turned the lamp on next to my bed. Absolutely no one there. And it carried on saying, Clive. So I did what now I should learn from all the horror films. You do not go towards the source, do you? But I went towards the source. And I was getting freaked out by this point. And I went to the corner to find out, and then found out what it was. It was actually the plumbing on my radiator, water heating going through, and it had this little, it's just like, no. But I tell you what, so after that, I just like, but I was freaked out. That's when it sounds like someone's whispering your name. That is, why couldn't I have been called David or something? Because then, you don't get plumbing calling David out, do they? So
yeah, but you were going by your middle name at the same time, weren't you? So did you think the
Mostly
ghost was like trying to mock you?
So hang on, Colorado Martini. The only experience I have had on the Queen Mary was
Different type of
probably,
spirits.
so lots of spirits to cause that, probably. Yeah. Yeah, there was quite a few people I think have those as well on the Queen.
Oh yes. Oh, those drinks that you got at the Aidan Sinclair show.
Yeah, we did the video on that
those,
one. Check that out.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to see our video on the Queen Mary, there is a ghost story that Clive tells on the Queen Mary. On that video,
if I remember right,
it's about the haunted hotel room. But that bar they had for that show, can you get those drinks at any of the other places, or was it just for that show? That was
just for that show there, but it was cocktail drinks based on spooks that have allegedly
they were
seen on film.
So good.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never had cocktails that tasted that nice. But yeah, you go into like this, it's a magic show, but it's done as like a spooky magic show, even though it's an illusionist show. But it's so cute. I mean, it's not running now because of COVID, but if it does start again, you have to go out and see it.
It's a lovely little sort of speakeasy atmosphere.
It is, yeah. You go down this dark corridor, and the tickets are on tarot cards and your little seat numbers. And how many people are in there? Is it 20 seats?
I think maximum you can get 50. They can, if it's a particularly busy night, they can. Yeah, but I mean,
it must have been 25 when we were there. And that was really cool. You go through a dark corridor, and they get the lighting just perfect, and you hear like, was it 1940s music that they're playing?
Yeah, Thorn got to take part in They don't usually allow children, but
you walk down this corridor, and then you find this little door to the left. You open it, and it's just like walking into a secret or forgotten like room in the Queen Mary. It's just just that little waiting room is I think worth.
Well, actually, say. If we're going back to the ghost story, just beyond that room, so even because this is right at the front of the ship, but just beyond that is the bow of the ship, but inside, and that's meant to be a very haunted spot. There was a very nasty accident in October 1942. The Queen Mary was carrying American troops. It was doing troop shuttles, and on the approach to Britain, it was met by several smaller ships to escort her into the water's actually slowing down because they don't get submarines firing at them, and they're zigzagging to avoid submarines. Escort ships zigzagging either side. One of them misjudged zigzag, went in front of the Queen Mary, and the Queen Mary, so much bigger, plowed straight through the middle.
I'm totally getting a fan from your hands. It's great.
Yeah, very tragic accident. I think 338 people lost their lives. So horrible accident. But yeah, they reckon people see orbs in there.
Yeah.
I've seen lots of photographs taken in that area, and I have to say, orbs, little lights. Personally, what I think I'm seeing on most of those photographs, probably just dust light reflecting off it.
illuminated.
But I've seen about 2 or 3 which were very, very bright lights.
Mm.
Not someone's flash reflecting off of anything. There's nothing there to reflect off of, and it wasn't dust. It was, and also someone filmed something. There's something zigzagging quite crazily, which is not what dust does, and it wasn't a fly either. They don't fly that way.
It sounds like a mosquito.
So that was interesting, but I mean, it's a very, very sad story. The whole loss of life that took place right at the front there.
Yeah, that definitely is.
Actually, there's a guy who used to come who survived it, who used to come to visit till about 2 years ago.
Did he pass away?
I don't know if he passed away or perhaps was too old to then keep coming, but yeah, he used to come along. He was actually on the other ship called the Curacao.
Okay.
He survived. He was one of 101 people who survived the accident. But he used to come and visit the Queen Mary, which I don't know if that's just a way of healing for him or something. That this is the ship that killed lots of his friends. I don't know, but yeah,
I think it's a strong connection, isn't it, to come back to? But hey, that's very sobering.
Yeah. Sorry, that's brought the mood down a little bit, hasn't it? But no, there's anything about the Queen Mary, lots of ghosty stories. Some of them, I mean, I hear so many things. A lot of them probably complete rubbish, but
I think people are really hoping to find something when they go. So if that's a genuine experience, then it is. But if it's I can imagine it's easy to create your own.
You can create your own, but I mean, I've certainly seen and heard things there which I can't explain. And that's, I mean, as I say, I've only before that had like that one paranormal experience I mentioned on the road, not much else. So I'm not claiming that I believe so much of this stuff or there's a huge amount of experience I've had, but certainly the Queen Mary, you do get the feeling there's something strange going on there. It's interesting.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Spooky stuff.
So, and going back to our stories submitted, what's creepier, the haunted teddy bear or the spooky playhouse with mysterious make-believe ghost children that summon your child outside?
So NixPix was saying, her mum used to work as a tour guide, at the Henry Flagey Museum. Yeah, which was the home, and it's well known his wife's room is haunted.
We were, which castle were we at? I've gone blank. Harrisburg Castle.
In the Isle of Wight.
That's the one. And there is again a video on Harrisburg Castle if you want to go see that one.
Great castle.
It is, it's huge. You need to spend a lot of time there to really appreciate everything. But there's one spot you go into. There's like a museum inside the castle, which is really good as well. And you go into this small room, and it just was really strange. Before reading the actual panel on the wall telling me what the room was, who it was for, and what had happened there, I just felt like the air had been sucked out and I couldn't breathe. Today we would have been like, oh, that's COVID, but this was long before COVID was around. And I just had to get out of there. I couldn't even stop to read anything. But once I was out, I found out that was a room where one of the king's daughters had, like, I think she died of some sort of chest infection. It might have been tuberculosis. And I just thought, oh, that just feels like that oppressive room where you would spend your last hours. It's just really terrible.
Yeah, well, where we used to live in England, Manningtree, the name of the place, and look that up. It was Witch Central in the 1640s. Guy called Matthew Hopkins, called himself the Witchfinder General, would hunt witches, and lots of innocent people were tried, quite a few executed.
How do you know they're innocent?
I think they're shown afterwards they're probably innocent and set up through torture and stuff like that. But
because if you had witchy powers, why would you spend all of your time just making someone's cow dry up? That's the sort of thing that would get you hung.
But there's weird stuff there, because there was the ducking pool, wasn't there? They used to
throw the women over,
duck people, and if they sunk, they were innocent, and if they floated, they were guilty because the water rejects them, something weird like that.
You die, but at least you would clear your name.
Yeah. And there was also the green on Manningtree where someone was burnt at the stake for missing Sunday mass. That's
what you do in the back of the day when you don't go to church.
No, it's Easter mass you missed.
Easter mass. Oh yeah.
So pretty harsh stuff going on there. So I'm sure there's probably a few things that happen there, a few paranormal things there. People do stay there. I've
well,
not seen
there's
any.
that house right north of the green, or just up the hill of the green, that blue house that kept.
Yes.
No one stays in that
It kept
house.
being sold, didn't it?
It'd
Someone
be
would buy
like
it, then it'd sell
3
it.
months later, be back on the market, and it's probably just the plumbing, but all the locals are like, "Oh, it's that house! It's that house again. We know it's haunted."
I remember years ago I was with my dad somewhere, and one of his friends, and we met someone for it's in a farmer's cottage, and we're because they needed to talk about something with the farmer, and then at the end the farmer said, "Oh, do you all want to come in for a cup of tea?" And my dad straight away sort of, I mean, I was fairly young at the time, he sort of put his arm on my shoulder and said, "Oh, really sorry, we've got to go." And then my dad's friend was like, "Oh yeah, we'd better go." And then we got in the car to go. And I said, well, "You seem in a hurry to leave. What's that?" And he said, "I'll tell you in a minute." And when we sort of got out of the way, he said, "There's just something weird about that place." He said, "I can't explain it. It just gave off a really bad vibe." And my dad's friend then found out that apparently there's meant to be a poltergeist in there. I don't know how he found that out, but apparently there's a poltergeist in there. And my dad just suddenly sensed this thing. I was like, "No, let's go." We're not going in there.
Like, we're leaving.
Yeah, but spooky stuff.
Spooky stuff.
Yes.
Spooky.
So
is anybody going to be giving out candy for Halloween?
Yeah, that's a good question with COVID going on, isn't it?
I have no idea what to do. I mean, we have a sticks and bricks, and I mean, usually we put out candy. We've not done outdoor decorations. We've done indoor decorations, but
this year we're not doing it.
This year, not. We just didn't want to encourage people coming to the door. But what is the vibe? What are people planning on doing this Halloween?
I heard one of my friends did say them. I think they were going to put like a candy hunt in their garden for their children.
Okay.
So they're still getting a sort of hunt for candy without having to interact with other people.
Oh, that's handy.
So that's an idea. But yeah, what's anyone else doing? Are you doing trick-or-treating, either going out to trick-or-treat or inviting people?
And are you putting things out for trick-or-treaters and then just saying help yourself? Or are you like feeling like even that is a bit too much? I don't know. I feel like I don't want us to be like stingy. I mean, this is like the kids are like, "It's Halloween." We've been indoors for half a year. You can't take away our Halloween as well. But at the same time, I don't want to encourage spreading of any like virusy hands. Colorado Martini says nope, but we are doing a virtual Halloween live. Oh yeah, that sounds like fun. And will you be making special drinks? Because I expect your cocktails would be even better than the ones that they had on the Queen Mary Aiden show. We're definitely looking forward to that book you mentioned with cocktails. No pressure.
We like cocktails. Yeah, we got our spooky tiki mugs out, our cocktail mugs.
We got our spooky,
put them on display. Yeah,
we did. Along with all the other spooky props that aren't really haunted at all. Colorado Martini says drinks for everyone. Yay!
We'll reach into the screen. We'll be a drink.
Yeah, we're very working on it.
Working on it. Yeah.
Who are you planning on doing for a publisher? Are you going to be doing Amazon Kindle, or are you using CreateSpace? Are you going to have a separate printer altogether? And anyway, sorry, used to be a publisher. Small one. So I'm like, ooh, which method are you using? That's not spooky at all. Or is it?
No. I don't know. Could be.
If you're a writer, that was spooky.
I still remember when I used to work at Clare Castle Country Park in Suffolk, and we did a Halloween trail. It's sort of a lot of it outdoors. And so we actually got what's meant to be real ghost stories that people have said they've experienced, and we tried to reproduce them on this ghosty trail in the evening when it was dark. We did not have a chance to rehearse it in the dark before we did it. So part of the idea was up on the ramparts. There was meant to be a spectre had been seen of this lady who used to live in the castle like 500 years ago. And so one of my colleagues who, she decided she was going to wear a white sort of dress, long dress, and put lights underneath it so that she'd glow. Now, we had no idea if this would look any good or not. And so I was actually delivering this tour, and I was explaining, and her cue to turn on the lights and start walking was to me to flash my light up in her direction. I was talking to people and said, and so this spirit's been seen up there, and I turn my light, and then it was amazing. It looked like she just appeared out of nowhere and was floating along, and it's like perfect.
Nice.
And it was just like, yes, we pulled
Got
it off.
it.
But yeah, so obviously that wasn't a real ghost story, but that was a
fun.
reproduction of a ghost story.
Colorado Martini says Kindle and Create Space. Fabulous. I found that, like, because I have a few different books published through different outlets. I think the one that's going to get you the most views definitely is Kindle and Create Space. And yeah, it's nice. It's really nice to not have to worry about your own distribution. So sorry, I sound like a commercial here, but looking forward to seeing your book, and very much looking forward to buying and reading it. So yeah.
So we are planning to do more spooky stories throughout this month. So if you do have more yourself, whether it's a campsite or whether it's another experience elsewhere, yeah, send them in, because we want to read them out.
Send them in. Now, you don't have to stick to our subject next week. Next Friday, we are going to be talking about local folklore stories and urban myths, which can be fun. If anyone has any stories about Slender Man, maybe keep them to yourself, because he scares the pants out of me.
Should I do Black Shuck?
Yes, but let's not give everything away now. Definitely send your stories in, and if you have a story that isn't to that subject, send it in anyway, and we will find a slot for it in the coming weeks. We're definitely enjoying reading out your stories, and yeah, link is below in the description, and you can find us through the website. There is a contact form. It's just like sending an email. It's that easy. The Jag family says, my kids love Slender Man. That's because he feels safe at home with you. Oh gosh, things that scared me as a child the most. Oh, actually, I have quite a few stories that are probably a bit too spooky. But
you can do them later.
Maybe later.
Unless you got one you want to offload now.
Well, I've got one I was going to tell about after Haunted Teddy Bear. There was a very, very spooky doll that my sister used to own, and I don't know what she was doing with this doll. I don't know who gave it to her, but this thing looked like some Victorian haunted reject.
Dolls are just spooky.
They are spooky in general, but this one had those like dead eyes. They just stare at you, and that face would be like, I'm gonna get you, and you fall asleep. And as a child, I was scared to death of this doll. And yeah, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and it would be on a chair staring at me. I swear. Of course, it was my sister doing it, but I didn't know that at the time. And my parents were like, why isn't Holly sleeping at night? What's wrong with her? She's like dark circles under her eyes. And why is our other daughter laughing so hard in the morning?
Now, if the doll's head started turning, that's when you need to worry.
I kept watching it very closely, expecting that it would. But anyway, that's our last story for the evening. It is pretty much the end of our time. And thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you for those who sent in their stories. And
shall we finish with one quick vampire joke?
Okay, go for it.
Okay. Someone asked me, who's your favorite vampire? And I said, it's that Muppet from Sesame Street. And my friend said, no, he doesn't count. And I was like, I think you'll find actually he does. Da-da.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Tumbleweeds.
Colorado Martini, freaking big sisters. How did you know she was a big sister? Right? Right?
Did you say big sister? I think it's just
exactly. And NixPix says, I used to have extremely vivid dreams with my eyes open while I was a kid. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is spooky. I never had them with my eyes open, but I used to have very, very vivid dreams. And other stories, but we can get into that next week.
Weird dreams. That's a great topic actually for another time.
It's going to be a fun one.
Strange dreams.
Very fun one.
Oh, I've had plenty of those.
Thank you, Jag family. Really appreciate that comment. And we will see you next week.
Okay. So yeah, if you have stories, send them in. Description below. Click on that link because we'd love to hear them.
All right. We will catch you later.
Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll hopefully see you next week.
See you next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
End broadcast.
End broadcast. There it is.
There it is.